Welcome. Today we are going to be using book pages to make flowers. I originally wanted to do this a while back, or actually wanted to just buy some because I have a ton of book vases. And I looked online and there was like $30 for 6 flowers. And I was like, nah, I can do this myself. So here we are. Just get any book you want. I'm using Pride and Prejudice because that's one of my favorites. And I thought it'd be fun to have an entire book or an entire flower set just full of them. So the first thing you need is actual pages of the book. You need 4 pages per flower. And also if you're going to, the size of your flowers depend on the size of your pages. Obviously, if you use a hardback book, you're going to have bigger flowers. And if you use a paperback book, you're going to have smaller flowers. And if you also don't want those white edges in your flowers, you will probably need to cut down a little bit more so that your entire page is just text and not the margins. But the first thing you do is you get your 4 pages and you basically just fold one across into a triangle and then cut it so that it's a square-ish. And all of this, none of this is going to be precise, unlike when we're doing bookbinding. If you guys are here for my normal videos, bookbinding is very precise and you have to be very accurate. But here you can really get away with, sort of lining those corners up. See, those haven't really fully lined up, but that's okay. So anyways, you take your square and you fold it 3 times into a triangle. So the first time, the second time, the third time. And at the third time here, you're going to cut out a petal. So I'm just showing you, just with this drawing, sort of the shape of what you want to cut out. So you see how the red line doesn't go above the text? That means that this flower petal, for the most part, is going to have text on both sides. But if you want to like maximize all of the page and have the top of that bump go up to the top, then you'll have a little bit of white space at the top of your flower. But that's okay. It's just a personal preference. So you just continue doing this. And here, one more time, fold over once, fold over twice. So it's a triangle, then fold the triangle over one more time. And then you cut out your bump. And see here, I'm with the white at the top. So there's going to be a little bit of white at the top of those flower petals. And then you have to do, if you're just doing a normal one, you just do a little tiny snip at the tip where all of these join, just a tiny bit, because we're going to attach them to that green wire you see. Because it makes it a lot easier just to attach them to wire as opposed to making them on their own, like those 2 top ones that I have. So just unfold them all, and then we're going to start cutting. So you have 4 pages, and in each of them you are going to cut off different amounts of flower petals. So in the first one here, you're going to cut off 1 flower petal, and then there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1 and 7, there's 8 flower petals total. So then on this one, you're going to cut off 2, so it'll be 2 and 6 petals, look like a little heart. The third one, you'll cut off 3, so 3 and 5. And these are just the layers of your flower. And on the last one, you're going to cut off 4. So cut it in half, basically. And so you're going to have, it's basically just, as you go along, you're going to start with the tiniest one and then go up in size. And this wire I got from Michael's. They have lots of different gauges. I think this one was 18. And I like that this one was sort of wrapped more than the other ones were just like a shiny green. But you can find any gauge wire you want. I've also tried, this is my first time when I was filming this, trying with wire before. If you see that, what just rolled in. I actually used this to build my flowers off of. I used like wooden skewers, basically. First I used craft ones that were about twice as thick as these. And then I bought these. But now I think it's best if you use wire. Don't use the wooden skewers. But the wooden skewer that I have is good for if you want to have curled edges. You don't have to. But you see I'm just like taking each page and sort of rolling it over the skewer. This tiny wire probably would be too thin to roll it over, but the skewer or like even a pencil or pen works well to give it a little bit of a curl. Anyways, okay, so we're going to build the flower. First, you start with your singular flower and you just go up like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the first one I just use hot glue and I just connect it as much as I can, sort of squishing it over. And the first 2, I never roll them, like make them sort of curled over. And also a lot of times I don't even curl any of my flower petals over, but I just sort of, the first 2, you're just sort of squishing them down. So I don't think they need to be curled. I don't think it really looks any different. Oh, and I just burned myself. I burned myself a lot when doing this. So just be careful with the glue gun. But My screensaver went away. Okay, so once you've done the first two, then for all of the rest of them, you're going to just basically fold it over and sort of sandwich on top. See, that sort of goes right on top. So we had 3 petals and we made them into like 2. So this one you have 4. You're going to basically make it into like 3 petals because 2 of them are going to overlap each other. What I also do when I have the 4 petals, because you have 2 sets of 4 because you took that 1 8 and you cut it in half, is, I don't think I really show it here, but what I normally do is the first of the 2 4s I will completely fold over so it's just like 3 petals when you look at it. And the second one, I will give it a little bit more space. So it will be like 3 1/4 petals round wide, basically. And then also, as you can see with the paper, some of these are, you see this one, how there's like no words on that side of the page. So if you want to make sure that all of your flower petals are fully like worded on each side, then just make sure that when you're taking pieces of paper out of your book, that you're not using like chapter ends, because the ones that are the blank pages are basically where a chapter ended. So one side there was text and then on the other side there isn't. So that's totally personal preference, but when you like fold them, like squish them all up, normally if you just have one that has just the blank pages like that, you don't really notice too much. So then you just, in order, slide them up, going like increasingly bigger, slide it up, and see, it's starting to look like a flower. Look at that. And then for these, what I do is then I just put the whole thing upside down and I just put a little bit of glue at the base of it so that it both sort of holds it in place, so that it holds it to the stem and they sort of all hold together. Okay, before we make the daffodil one, I want to take a quick moment to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Skillshare is the largest online learning platform for creatives, offering thousands of classes led by industry experts across various fields like illustration, graphic design, photography, music, marketing, productivity, and more. Whether you're a beginner or advanced, Skillshare has something for everyone, allowing you to go from a dabbler to a pro just in a matter of hours. What sets Skillshare apart is its learn by doing approach, where you can create and share products after completing a class and get feedback from the community. Plus, with its on-demand platform and stackable lessons, you can learn at your own pace no matter what your skill is. This month, Skillshare is focusing on the idea of treating creativity like a muscle that needs regular exercise. Just as we prioritize our health and wellness, let's make 2025 the year we dedicate more of our time to our creative pursuits. I, for one, am excited to try a lot of different new artistic outlets this year. The more we engage in creative activities, the more we grow and develop in this discipline that excites us. Skillshare is here to help make those choices to learn, grow, and nurture your creative practice. By consistently working on your creative skills, you can achieve personal and professional growth in ways you never imagined. So if you're ready to flex those creative muscles, the first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial for Skillshare. Get started today and take your skills to the next level. Okay, let's make a daffodil. Or I'm calling it that, but I don't really know. It's just that, sort of like fluffy in the middle, and then on the outside it's whatever. So you still need 4 pieces of paper. For this one, you take the first page, and you fold it all the way in half, hot dog, like we learned in elementary school. Instead of cutting the square in it, you're just going to do all these little tiny, all the way down. And if you accidentally cut the paper in half, that's totally fine, because you're just going to basically wrap this whole thing around the wire. So take a piece of glue it down like this, because it's just going to make it that much easier. And see how it sort of does the like bump out? Like it makes a nice curve when you fold it over, because you're folding it the opposite way of it was folded. But you can also just glue it the way it was folded. So instead of having those curve out, they sort of just are more spiky. And then you just take your wire and you glue it to the end. Try not to glue yourself, and you just roll it up like this, and then glue it at the very end again so that it stays. And see how it just sort of looks like this? If you could just stop here, you could be done with that like that. But if you put the extra 2 petals, I think it sort of looks like a daffodil. So once again, you are making your squares, and you can stack up your pages, like cut them all, and then just, doing the petal cutting out again. And then for this, the difference though here is right here. See how I'm cutting off like a bigger amount? So when you open it up, there's going to be a bigger hole. That's because when we rolled up those little like thinly cut things, it created this huge base where it was glued. And so these, when I glue these pieces together as like the pieces of the flower petal that you all like slide up the bar, you're going to need a bigger hole so that they slide up properly into and around the flowers, you can see. So I'm just doing that one more time. Cut. And then rolling some of the leaves, but not all of them because I'm lazy. And you just stack it up. and see if it fits, and then you can cut a bigger hole if it doesn't come up high enough for the flower. So if you want to like have it embrace those little fringy pieces more. And then you just, once again, glue the pieces together, but you don't, since you have 3, you don't really, you can just choose what you want to do. I think I did like a 4 and like a 4 and 4, a 3 and 5, and maybe like a 2 and 6 as opposed to the 1 and 7. And then for this, I pull up each piece. I'm gluing like that because we want them to sort of come up on each other. So I just glue each flower petal to the previous one, but I glue it in a different spot so that, because they're going to sort of stick together, so you don't want them all stuck together on the same side, basically. So this way it just sort of gives them more breathing room. And so then that's what it looks like. And then here, if you use baby's breath, I think that it looks really good with, oh, really quickly. So we just saw that was if you, instead of doing like the round flower petal, if you wanted to do a pointy one, that's what the pointy one looks like. I just tried it once to see. I did not like it, so I did not make any more. But here's what it looks like when it's a little flower bouquet. And I don't know. I think it turned out really great. And with the baby's breath, and baby's breath dries really well. I think this looks awesome. So hopefully you try it. Let me know how it goes. And have a great day. Thanks for watching. And remember to subscribe and like this video if you liked it. Thanks. Bye.